societal kind of thing that we can do.
Absolutely.
Other than, and I think that this would be less expensive in terms of what we're trying to do by just taking this drug gang situation being the cause of everything and et cetera. Speak to that about how expensive it is
again,
to try
to incarcerate someone for a year. I think the cost is, I think it's $40,000 to $50,000 now, which is about the same as college tuition. You know, so if we can prevent somebody from being incarcerated, you know, for violence, you know, and we could pay for their college education. Now, again, we have to get them to that point. So that's why it's very important to work with the schools, to work with a lot of other community agencies, because young people, a lot of times, like myself, aren't exposed to role models, people who are encouraging them to go on and continue their education, to make them believe that they can actually do something other than what they see others doing in their immediate environment. And so we're really, again, the goals that we have through this coalition is getting caring adults and linking them up with young people. And we've got some major initiatives now that we're working on to do that. We've got a lot of the community agencies that do that. In fact, Tennessee State is one of them through the service learning program. I've talked to Dr. Sue Fuller about seeing if there's ways that we can actually link up some of the freshmen, because hey, you have service learning responsibilities for all students that are here at Tennessee State, and see if we can link them up with young people as they start high school, and let them progress together. You know, you have a college freshman who's mentoring a high school freshman and letting them go through this process together and talk and communicate and see what that's about, see what college is about, so that they develop not just the hope, but they can see themselves actually doing it. And I think that's really an important piece, is that we have to provide the opportunities for young people to see that they can actually, you know, rise above, you know, the situations, that there are resources out there, and there's a lot of caring, good people out there that will help them. And so that's part of what we're trying to do here is, you know, through again, call it mentoring and providing supports for young people and their families, because it really is a family. You know, we have to affect the whole family to help youth, you know, really to develop some, you know, these sorts of aspirations.
You know, before we get off this, Doctor, let's have you to say something in reference to Meharry Medical College, especially dealing with the area that you're involved in and how that area is able to support what Meharry is doing now.
All right. Well, again, I never saw myself in academic medicine. I mean, this is, you know, for me, it was just, it was an opportunity that came and it arose. In fact, after I graduated with my PhD, I said, I'm through with education or college. I didn't ever see myself being back in. But again, the opportunity really to do research in this area has been just very personal, rewarding, because it's not just an academic issue for me. It's something that I feel very passionate about, and has provided me with an opportunity to train medical students about intentional injuries, to train our residents in family medicine and get them involved. What have you found to be the level of knowledge in reference to that in terms of dealing with these young people? Well, again, I don't think medical students generally have any or very limited exposure, and usually the exposure is around child abuse, because there's some mandatory reporting responsibilities that they have as health professionals, and the same with intimate partner violence. There's been more attention given to that area in recent years. But in terms of youth violence, they often have no understanding of what the problems are or what their role is. And so part of my responsibility is to help them understand that when they see a young person, they need to ask questions to see if, again, if they're being bullied at school, to see if they're if they're threatened on the way to school and after school. Who do they hang out with? Are their friends in gangs or gang involved, or their siblings? Because if they are, it increases their risk for getting involved in activities that may lead to them being either a victim or a perpetrator of violence. And so it's very important for a medical student to be able to make that assessment, not that they're going to treat them in that sense, but they can help either through counseling and guidance or through a referral to community programs, and that's part of what we do is help them. We give them a directory. We work with the Oasis Center that's created a directory of youth services here in Nashville. It's called the 411. So we actually provide that to the students and our residents so that they know that there are other agencies and people out there that they can refer you to who may be in need.
Very good. And of course, Dr. Juarez, let me, over this last half minute that we have here, thank you for bringing us that excellent information by, and I'm sure that those individuals who had an opportunity to hear what you had to say this morning will have a new understanding and a broadened understanding. And I certainly have a broadened understanding of this whole idea of intentional violence and how we might be able to effectively deal with it in a real sense outside of the fact of dealing only with gangs and with drugs and et cetera. And of course, we want to thank you for that. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.